In this video, I'm going to give you the rundown on the pineal gland and what it does to evolve and awaken your consciousness in 2020 and beyond. The pineal gland is a small pine cone-shaped gland located between the two halves of the thalamus in your brain. Only about the size of a grain of rice, this gland is responsible for regulating sleeping and awakened states through the production of melatonin. It's shaped like a pine cone, hence its name, and it's demonstrated in hieroglyphics across the globe. It is also known as the third eye in many ancient cultures and religions throughout the world because it has lenses just like the human eye and has a connection to light in order to run the circadian rhythms. Mystic and esoteric traditions suggest it serves as a metaphysical connection between the physical and spiritual worlds. This gland produces melatonin, which is released into the bloodstream and then transferred to the spinal fluid, allowing it to run up and down the spinal column. Some ancient traditions call this energy the kundalini, which is often described as the serpent that runs up the spine and into the 7 main energy meridians, or the chakras. This is also seen on the medical staff symbol in the modern-day medicine because of its healing abilities. The pineal has been widely misunderstood, but in 2013, researchers at the University of Michigan discovered that DMT was being produced in the pineal glands of rats. DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, is the most powerful psychotropic molecule known to man and has been widely used by extracting it from plants in many ancient cultures and medicine men for centuries. Plant medicines have been used for centuries to awaken deep states of awareness within one's soul in sacred ceremonies such as ayahuasca and mushrooms. It has since been discovered that the pineal gland naturally produces small amounts of DMT during REM sleep, meditation, and in larger amounts just before death. Researchers link this molecule to out-of-body experiences, time distortions, and mystical experiences, and is said to have a profound effect on consciousness and expansion. When the human brain is dissected by its left and right hemispheres, it is in perfect alignment with the Egyptian hieroglyphics in the Eye of Ra, or the Eye of Horus, which seems fitting since they were obsessed with life, death, and transcendence. Meditative states are correlated with increases of melatonin. Theta, alpha, delta, beta, and gamma waves are the states of consciousness that we know about today. Increased melatonin during meditative states tells the brain to slow down its frequency, which allows the mind to move from a highly attentive waking state into deeper levels of transcendent spaces and deep sleep. Meditation is a mind and body practice that has a long history of use for increasing calmness and physical relaxation, improving physical balance, coping with illness, and enhancing overall health and well-being. This is even being suggested by doctors and psychologists to help heal the body and the mind. Studies have shown that meditation can increase the level of consciousness by blocking out old patterns and integrating new ones, and by letting go of the constant stress of life and raising vibration. Scales of consciousness are now being talked about in medical communities, and books are being written by these doctors. In a consciousness scale from a book written by Dr. David Hawkins, he talks about the different levels of consciousness, which talks about loops of emotions and patterns that we identify with that keep us in the state of that emotion or frequency. As we move up this scale, our emotions help us to raise our vibrations into higher states and stay there for longer periods of time. At the bottom, we have negative emotions like shame and guilt, and then we move to higher states such as love, joy, and peace, eventually reaching the highest stage of enlightenment. From these higher levels, it gets easier to manifest higher and more exciting outcomes. Remember, we can only be in the same frequency that we resonate with, so if you want to take your power back, being in the higher states for longer periods of time will help you initiate more of what you want and increase your ability to create your own reality. We have been trained since we were young that our imagination needed to be toned down in order to fit into the society. This is how we fell from consciousness and into a state of deep sleep or unawareness. Do you remember being a kid and pretending that you were in the middle of a magical forest and you were standing in your own backyard? You could really see those trees and you could really see those characters that you were pretending to be. That is because your pineal gland was activated into the state that activates imagination. Therefore, creation, it was all around you. What you need to understand is that taking your power back begins with the ability to learn that imagination is the key to unlocking your potential and your connection with the other side. Being low on that scale of consciousness doesn't mean that you're going to be in that state forever. Just as we talked about in the last few videos, you created this three-dimensional world to know all aspects of yourself, and therefore, you need to feel all the levels. The ability in letting go and letting flow is also the ability to move back into the higher states by understanding the need to feel the lower ones in order to know duality. We are now moving from 3-dimensional consciousness into 5-dimensional consciousness, which is what this energy shift and our awakening is all about. The 4th dimension is the state of time and space, which is why time and space are transcended in the higher states of consciousness. It is also why you lose time when you're doing something that you considered meditative. Contrary to popular belief, meditation doesn't have to be in the form of sitting down perfectly still. For some, this means gardening or being in the water or biking, woodworking, and so on. It's the state that you get into to raise your frequency, and it allows you to let go of everything else and get into the zone of who you really are. Moving from 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness isn't the easiest thing to do, and it also doesn't mean that you will automatically disappear to those in 3D when you raise up your level to 5D. It simply means that you will no longer match the same frequency as some of the people that you did before. This means that friends and family that you once had commonalities with may fall away. This doesn't mean that it's forever. It sometimes means that the other person needs some time to raise their vibration up, or you might need some extra time to raise to their level too. The same can be true on the other end though, which means that it's very possible to drop vibration in the presence of others if you're not aware of how to raise it back to your set point after being in the same energy field as them for a long period of time. We are constantly raising and lowering, so don't let this scare you too much. It simply means that you can empathize with someone to the point that it becomes your new set point. But if you're aware of this, you can use it to your advantage and help others by lifting them up until you move past that set point and into higher realms and better possibilities. This is also known as transurfing. This is done by manifesting better opportunities and opening timelines by the way you feel. This has been talked about recently in the popular movement known as The Secret. And this is also starting to be explained into more depth because more and more people are awakening by the new energies available during the shift in ascension. Meaning that the entire earth is moving into higher consciousness, and therefore we are all downloading new possibilities that have never been available to the mass majority. Because the pineal gland is responsible for raising consciousness, it has been widely suppressed by society in order for us to learn the dualistic realities by falling asleep in the first place. But by activating this gland, we start to open our realities and start to awaken. So when I say welcome to your ascendance, it means that you're starting to understand everything in these videos. It's most likely that you're moving into higher dimensions because the knowledge is now available to you. You can also start using that power that you had once had before your sleeping state in order to awaken to your true self. Help shift the collective consciousness into higher realms and co-create a better world for us and our future generations of creators. Welcome to your ascendance. If you resonate with this information, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you're notified with each new video that I put out every week. Also, if you'd like to book a session with me, please email or message me from the links that I provided below, and I'll see you in the next video.